The most expensive 4 seconds of your financial life aren't when you check your bank account. They're when someone looks at you and you notice. You know the moment. Ordering something nicer because someone else is at the table. Saying yes to an upgrade right after a comment about your car, your apartment, your job. It felt like a reflex, not a money choice. Later, you just saw the money was gone. Some people go through that exact same moment, and it does nothing to them. Not because they have more money, not because they care less what people think. Something else is different. And once you see what it is, you won't be able to unsee it in your own life. Without knowing it, you are being read. Someone knows how to make you spend to prove yourself. Hold on to the last time that happened to you case. You're about to find out exactly who it benefited. It wasn't you. Think back to the last time it happened. Not a big purchase. Something small. You were at dinner and the check came, and for half a second you calculated not what you wanted, but what ordering the cheaper thing would look like. You said yes to the upgraded package because the person selling it to you mentioned, almost offhand, what most people in your position usually choose. You mentioned your job to a stranger and then spent the next hour behaving like the version of you that job implied you should be. None of these felt like financial decisions in the moment. They felt like being polite, like keeping up, like just going along with something ordinary. None of these felt like financial decisions in the moment. They felt like being polite, like keeping up, like just going along with something ordinary. It arrives disguised as a social reflex, and reflexes don't get audited. You don't sit down afterward and ask why. This is not a story about willpower, and it's not a story about being bad with money. Careful people lose money this way too. The leak is not in their spreadsheet. It's in the half second where someone else's presence changes what you're willing to want. Hold on to the last time that happened to you. In a minute, you'll find out exactly who benefits from it. It isn't you. It's whoever was in the room. It may be a salesperson, a friend, or just a room designed to read your nerves. Because that half second isn't an accident. It's a target.
What exactly does this premium access entail?
Considering your standing, you should anticipate that. Certain rooms are arranged to make comparison feel involuntary, so that by the time you're actually deciding, you've already measured yourself against everyone else standing in it. You are not foolish or weak. You just shape your self-image from how you think you are seen. What makes this uncomfortable isn't that it happens to you. It's that it doesn't happen to everyone equally. Same pitch, same room. One person overspends, and another barely notices the trap. The gap is not bank balance. Low money can be unreadable. Big money can be read like a page. Same pitch, same comparison, same room. One person feels nothing. It is not luck or income. It's where their sense of enough comes from. The person who's unreadable isn't colder, and they haven't stopped caring what people think of them in general. Most of them care plenty. What's different is narrower and more specific. Their financial self-worth doesn't wait for confirmation from whoever happens to be in the room. Call it status immunity. Other people's read of your money stops becoming useful data. This isn't detachment, and it isn't the performance of not caring, which looks similar from the outside but runs on the opposite fuel. Performed indifference is still wired to the room. It just spends effort instead of money. Real status immunity starts earlier, with your worth settled before you enter the room. Someone whose sense of enough is externally sourced needs a reaction to feel confirmed and will pay one way or another to get it. Someone whose sense of enough is internally sourced already has the confirmation. The room can do whatever it wants. There's nothing left for it to move. Most people try to build this by pretending not to care. That performance costs almost exactly what the purchase would have. How? You're just paying with something other than money. Because pretending is exhausting, and exhaustion has to come from somewhere. Acting unbothered by the nicer car still costs effort. Managed feelings are not gone. It resurfaces later, usually as resentment, or as a bigger purchase made when nobody's watching to make up for all that restraint. Real immunity is built before the moment, by noticing the trigger before it becomes a choice. The skill is smaller than it sounds. Catch the instant you feel seen and measured. Hold it apart from what you do next. Most people skip straight from that flicker into the decision, so fast the two feel like one motion. The trained version inserts a gap. Notice the flicker. Name it, even silently pod. That's the cue, not the decision. Then, separately, ask what you actually want, independent of who's watching. This is not a buying delay. It is sequence, refusing to decide while feeling watched. Practiced enough times, in enough small, unremarkable moments, the gap stops requiring effort. It becomes the default sequence itself. Once this becomes automatic, something changes that has nothing to do with your bank balance. People stop trying certain things on you. You'll notice it before you can explain it. You'll notice it in small ways first. Certain conversations that used to lead somewhere expensive quietly stop leading anywhere at all, because whatever was supposed to happen in that half-second gap simply doesn't fire anymore. Some relationships lose charge when you stop reacting to their upgrades and comparisons. Certain sales conversations end faster, not because you got ruder, but because whatever technique was supposed to work on you found nothing to attach to. No announcement is needed. The signal stops working, and people eventually stop trying. Savings may widen too, because much of the old spending was never really about the thing. What compounds is simpler than that? Decisions get quieter. A purchase becomes a question about your own life instead of a referendum on your standing in someone else's. You stop needing an audience to know that something is worth doing, which means you stop paying, in money or in performance, for the audience's approval. The car, trip, or title becomes what it was, someone else's story in a room you don't need. That half-second will return today. Notice the old pull to react on their terms, not yours. Notice it. That's the whole rule. Everything else follows from noticing. Some people will spend the rest of their life being read, priced, and moved by it without ever noticing. You just spent 10 minutes learning how to stop being one of them.